Hi, I'm Milria.
And I'm Gus.
This is our entry in the Black Ball Ferry Line's $149 challenge.
Being aliens from the United States of Oregon, we started our journey by common ground transport to our departure point, Port Angeles, Washington.
First thing in the morning, we went to the Black Ball Ferry Line terminal and picked up our prize packet. We picked up our bags and walked right onto the ferry.
The 90-minute crossing was a testament to the delightful side of April weather. Our eyes turned north to the approaching landmass on the horizon.
One of the most exciting parts of the trip is coming into Victoria Harbor on the Coho Ferry. When you first see the Empress Hotel, you know that you've arrived someplace special. We chose the Strathcona Hotel because of its convenient location.
We decided to take advantage as much as possible of Victoria's legendary walkability. Of course, one exception to the rule was the water taxis.
I love the water taxis. They're a great way to get a first look at the city from the harbor and for the time that we save getting around town.
The Fisherman's Wharf neighborhood was a delightful display of floating tiny houses with a generous sprinkling of dockside eateries.
There are friendly seals, too, but please don't feed them. They've had enough to eat.
While many sought activities like kayaking, dancing, and swimming, the focus of our trip was pretty much culinary in nature, as we decided early on to skip the traditional meal trio of breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a more leisurely, spread-out grazing approach.
Our first meal in Victoria was at Barb's Fish and Chips on Fisherman's Wharf. The meal cost $15.70, plus a $1 tip for the counter service. We used our water taxi return trip voucher to go to Chinatown at the north end of downtown Victoria. From there, we could enjoy the sights while walking back to our hotel over the course of the afternoon. While we were in Chinatown, we stopped into Don Mi restaurant for some delicious dim sum along with $1 tea. We paid a total of $12.79 plus $1 tip for 2 plates of dim sum and a cup of tea each. Ferris Oyster Bar is famous for their bucket shuck happy hour oysters. These are fresh local oysters served on the half shell for $1 each. We had a dozen of them, along with a half pound of steamer clams and bread with a roasted garlic bulb and cheese spread. After filling up on delicious, fresh local seafood, we spent a little more time shopping down Government Street. One of our favorite stops was Rogers Candies, which has been in business in Victoria since 1885. We each chose one chocolate treat for later, which cost us $3.08. We were just in time for the end of happy hour at the 10 Acres Bistro. Our happy hours pints at 10 Acres came to $12 including tax, plus a $2 tip for a total of $14. It was really good. The Strathcona Hotel is well located, and it has a number of great entertainment venues. If you want a fun evening out, but don't want to have to worry about getting back to your room afterward, the Strathcona is the place to stay.
And next door at the Strath beverage store, we selected a pair of retro-labeled soda pops.
Our room at the Strathcona was small, comfortable, and very clean. We were on the 5th floor in the corner and had a fabulous view of the city and the harbor.
Fresh in from the shore, a pair of seagulls felt obliged to serenade us in the morning.
We had good coffee and a continental breakfast in the Sticky Wicket pub downstairs in the hotel, which was included in the cost of the stay. After breakfast, we packed up and checked out of the hotel. We left a $2 tip for housekeeping and also tipped the front desk crew $2. It's important to me to save money while I travel, but I don't skimp on tipping. The people that we rely on to give us a comfortable stay and a good time while we travel deserve some extra consideration for what they do for us. It's one thing to save money while traveling, but I'm not going to skimp on tipping. Thunderbird Park is right next to the Provincial Museum. If you have the time, it's the best way to learn about Victoria, the history of British Columbia, and the First Nations people of the region. From Thunderbird Park, we walked up the hill to the Emily Carr House.
Emily Carr's life and work should be an inspiration to all Canadians.
Just uphill from the Emily Carr House is the Beacon Drive-In. Beacon Drive-In's soft-serve ice cream has been voted the best ice cream in Victoria for 22 years in a row, and it's a great local favorite. Our ice creams cost $7.50 plus $1 tip for counter service. We really enjoyed walking through the park and stopped several times to see sights along the way.
The grounds of the park were filled with a multitude of sun-seekers, including these duck couples and a log full of western painted turtles.
When we got to the bottom of the hill on Douglas Street, we caught a bus into town. A single trip ticket is $2.50, but for $5 each, you can buy a day pass and ride the bus as many times as you want. We took the bus out Fort Street to within about half a mile of Government House. Government House has beautiful gardens which are maintained by volunteers from the Victoria community.
We picked the perfect time for flower viewing.
No trip to Victoria is complete without a stop at Murchie's. You'll find a nice selection of sandwiches, pastries, and fabulous desserts. You'll also find the same tea that's served at the Empress Hotel. Our Murchie's lunch cost $21.42, plus a $1 tip for counter service.
Monroe's bookstore really demanded more time than we had, so I stuck to the local history section and found an excellent book on Victoria.
We had a little extra time, but decided to head toward the ferry, so we went back to the hotel, picked up our luggage, and walked to the Bateman Center.
It was convenient, located literally next door to the ferry terminal. And it was a fitting end to our stay in Victoria. By sharing the work of one of Canada's premier artists, we left the city with the impression of Bateman's vision of his home province and everywhere else still lingering in our minds.
Our expenses totaled $170.09.
Our time ran out, as did our spending money, or at least most of it. As it turned out, we each had retained a single Canadian coin.
I have a loonie.
I have a toonie.
That's all, folks.